Taskbar formatting makes it easy to emphasize information by showing critical tasks in red and non-critical tasks in blue. You can also format individual taskbars if you want to highlight key tasks, like milestones that trigger payments. Well, Project actually has some taskbar formatting that's right on the ribbon. So, for example, on the Format tab, the Critical Tasks checkbox is turned on, and that shows critical tasks in red taskbars and non-critical tasks in blue. If I turn off the checkbox, all the taskbars change to blue. Turn it back on, and now I can see all the critical tasks again. Well, you can also format bar styles, and that's a style for a whole category of bars. So to do that, click the Format button and choose Bar Styles. Well, that opens the Bar Styles dialog box, and it's rather imposing. There's quite a bit here, but it's really not so bad when you look at it. So let's say that we want to format the critical tasks. So I select the critical row in the table, and now down at the bottom on this Bars tab, I have the settings for critical tasks. Well, you can do things like you can choose a shape for the start or the end. So in this case, I'm going to choose some triangles. And you can see a preview up in the table. You can also change the color if you want. So for example, you can make it a red. And the middle section, well, that's the middle of the taskbar. So if you want to change the color, you can choose that color as well. You can see that changes the middle of the taskbar. You can also change the shape. Well, the shape is actually the width of the bar. You can really choose between a full width, a partial width, and then a very narrow bar. The narrow bars are great for things like progress. And you can see that up in the table here. The progress bar has a narrow bar, and it's up at the top. One thing to keep in mind, if you're going to use narrow bars, you want those to be near the bottom of this list in the table, because Project applies these taskbars from the top of the table to the bottom. And that means you have a full width bar that's at the top. You can see the entire bar, and then you can see the narrower bars overlaid on top of the full width bars. If you go the other way around, then the narrower bars will be hidden behind the full width. So in this case, we're going to keep the full width bar. Another thing you can do, if you think you're going to print to black and white, you can always choose a pattern. And that way you can choose like a diagonal hash or vertical bars that'll show up differently on a black and white printer. The great thing about these bar styles is that Project automatically takes care of applying them if a task changes category. So for example, if a non-critical task becomes critical, it's going to change to whatever formatting we have here. Another thing you can do is you can show text around a taskbar. On the Text tab, you can see right now that resource names are on the right side of taskbars. But in this case, I can, let's say, choose, I'm going to go to resource initials instead. The nice thing about initials is that they're shorter, so you can still see who's assigned to a task in the timescale, but without taking up as much room. And then if you want, you could also put Start on the top of a taskbar. So when I click OK, you can see those changes. In this case, it's just on critical tasks because that's the taskbar style that we defined. You can see there's an initial, and you can also see the date at the top. Another thing to remember is that this bar style formatting applies only to the active view. This is the Gantt chart view, and so these changes will only appear in the Gantt chart. If you apply a different view like Tracking Gantt, you won't see these same changes. Now, the other thing you can do is to format individual taskbars. Just change one taskbar that you want to emphasize for some reason. So let's say we want to format the Install Phone System. Well, to do that, go to the Format tab, click the down arrow, and choose Bar. And you get the Format Bar dialog box, which is very similar to the bar styles, just not the whole table because we're just formatting this one bar. So you still have your choices of start, middle, and end. For example, I just want to change this to green, and we'll leave the bar text alone. Well, when I click OK, that change occurs right in the taskbar. If the only change you want to make is color, there's actually a shortcut for formatting a single bar, and that's to right-click it. And then you see this little toolbar that pops up, and it's got a color that you can choose. So click the down arrow, and you can choose a theme color. That's a color-coordinated set of colors that you can apply. Or you can just choose a standard color, and if you click more colors, you can choose whatever color you want. In this case, I'm going to just apply some yellow, and the color changes automatically. Formatting taskbars lets you emphasize entire categories of tasks, like critical tasks. Or you can format individual bars to highlight them. It's an effective way to show off the information you want to see.